The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Cali Sportsman, WDC is now on your radio. Coming live from the Bay, yeah, that way. They talk sports all day, LA. Dropping knowledge, high school, college, trying to score, play by play. NFL, NBA, NHL, that's right, you name it. They gon' bring it to you live. Talking sports and entertainment, from the famous and the, you name it. Cover all sports, from the football field.
All right, good evening. Welcome to Sports Collective TV. I'm your host, moderator, Ron, a.k.a. WDC. I want to thank you for listening in. As always, we have a very spectacular show for you right here on Morris Media Live, Mondays at 5 o'clock. If you check social media, finally we got Mr. West is in the building, taking off to his professional basketball career. It's taking off. So we got him in the building. We got Caldwell back, as we've been talking about objectification and how this actually shows up in not just military but sports, but also life in sports. So yes, Caldwell is back. We're going to definitely touch on some of those subjects. Of course, my man Cali Sportsman is over here with the SC, and shouts out to Buddha.
Shout out to Buddha. With
the I Just Want to Hoop. Balling. MVPs all over the place. I mean, the guy's got, how many championships the guy got this year? Lots.
Yeah, he does.
I want to bring you back just to talk about injury and recovery.
Because he recovered.
Nah, because of the kind of game he play. You know, he's a body guy. He body everybody up. He don't have a problem just getting to the rack. He don't have a problem getting to the rack and doing a layup.
Have you seen the work he's done to get his feet healed? He's been healing himself too. Is why his game kind of elevated.
Yeah, but so much contact you could take. So much contact you could take.
And he's a contact player. Like, he like a Barkley in a sense. Yeah. I mean, like every time he get the ball, if he don't hit you or bump you,
he on the floor.
He ain't just making a move unless he got an open look. So just to watch his game, it'd be interesting to see what his conditioning is like to recover.
And Buddha, you gonna accept the invitation?
Has to do with a lot on when you're not playing basketball. So it helps when you work out every day and you're in the gym and you making sure you're taking care of your body the right way
downtime.
Every day. Yes. Yeah. Even when you're not doing nothing, stretching.
Still,
you know what I'm saying?
Active in it.
Being a little bit active, doing little home remedy exercises when you're doing it. You know, like that goes a long way.
Push-ups when the commercial is on.
What you know about that?
Yeah, I taught my son.
Push-ups comes a long way.
Because he wanted to study, and then it was time management. He wanted to study, and then he wanted to watch ESPN all the time. So I was like, and then he wanted to go to the gym at the wrong time. So I'd be like, nah, dude, just every commercial is at least 7 minutes.
That's what I was taught. Every commercial hit about 15.
Yeah, if you get 15, you do 3 sets of that every day. Boom, boom, boom.
Especially when you got a game on. If the game on, it's about about 10 commercials during the game.
These rocks do develop, you know what I'm saying? We ain't talking about you sitting
and Carwell will tell you in the military, you don't hit no weights and nothing like that. That's all calisthenics, push-ups, sit-ups, and you talk about... It's 6 years down the line, though, but still. Muscle memory.
You had that once upon a time, huh, Caldwell?
I was only interested in getting out. That's when we were drafted. I was meeting my obligation. Get the heck out of there.
Wow. Yeah, so anyway, we saw that arm right there real quick. But anyway, so we got a couple of conversations we want to talk about at the top of the hour before we get into the Chasing the Hoop Dream segment with you, Wes. And I guess, Callie, you want to start? You want to just go with the?
You might enjoy this.
Let's play the clip. How about we play the clip first? Can we play the clip? Not yet. Okay, give it. So I'm gonna guide the conversation so we don't get too far ahead, Callie. Can we just
I know you got your hat on, so it's all good, man.
So Cap, we talking about Cap, right?
Yes, sir.
And him wanting to get back, supposedly want to get back into the NFL. So we leaving it like that, right?
I seen the interview. After he did his workout. I seen the interview he did.
All right, so we got a clip here that we're going to show, we're going to watch, and then we're going to examine.
Most definitely.
There's some of us that say he's taking control of the league to make sure that he doesn't get violated or get his media get used against him or something. And
No,
then
I don't
some
think
of us
so.
are saying that he just don't really want to play and he just wants some spotlight time. And then my man Caldwell's got definitely a great point that I don't think anybody's touched on. Don't say it yet, Caldwell, about
I just
your
think
view.
he's controlling the narrative of his camp.
You want to show this? Because I got a point of view on this.
Yeah.
man.
So
this right here.
he doesn't know where it's at. All right.
So can I start?
Okay.
I just kind of just to get this going.
All right, go ahead.
So the fact is that the NFL, you want to go work for the NBA. You can't have your set of rules go work for someone, right?
This is true.
And that's all I'm getting at. That's primarily to understand what I'm saying. So you want to work for the military that are volunteered or be recruited, they have a
people
set
you
of
have to
rules and
answer to.
standards, right?
Right.
To work with that organization. And that's all I'm getting at. So my understanding is he had to sign a release.
Wait. Be more specific about what I mean.
Okay, so
ready?
all right, you ready? You found it?
All right, so we're
well,
gonna play
come
the
back.
clip, ladies and gentlemen, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna have a discussion real quick about Mr.
Making sure we had transparency in what went on. We weren't getting that elsewhere, so we came out here. It's important that y'all are here. Y'all been attacked for the last 3 years. Y'all continue to be attacked. We appreciate what y'all do. We appreciate you being here today. We appreciate the work you do for the people and telling the truth. That's what we want in everything. I've been ready for 3 years. I've been denied for 3 years. We all know why I came out here, showed it today in front of everybody. We have nothing to hide. So we're waiting for the 32 owners, the 32 teams, Roger Goodell, all of them to stop running. Stop running from the truth. Stop running from the people. We're out here. We're ready to play. We're ready to go anywhere. My agent, Jeff Nally, is ready to talk to any team. I'll interview with any team at any time. I've been ready. I'm staying ready. And I'll continue to be ready. And to all the people that came out here today to support, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. To the people that aren't here, I'm thinking of you. I appreciate you supporting from where you are. We'll continue to give you updates as we hear. We'll be waiting to hear from Roger Goodell, the NFL, the 32 teams. We'll let you know if we hear from them. Ball's in their court. We're ready to go. I appreciate it.
So the interview Stephen A. had that was talking about what the NFL provided for him. Basically gave him a field, gave him the production, and all he had to do was just sign a waiver to bring his own people on to be able to have the transparency. So the thing is, okay, well, they want to control the narrative. Well, they're the company that's hiring you. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't want to work with that narrative, then you just don't work with that narrative. So I just kind of think, it's just another political, another, just because we know that NFL they need some quarterbacks. It ain't like it's a bunch of bum quarterbacks. And
It isn't.
But he really didn't really say nothing though.
He didn't.
He didn't
Honestly,
really say nothing.
He
it's
just
the
said,
action of him bringing okay, Fredo. So they had the Atlanta Falcons basically provided a field that's owned by the National Football League,
Right.
and they're going to provide you production.
Right.
They're going to provide you the invite of all the league players.
Right.
I mean the league owners. Right. So everything's right here.
Right.
So why you need to go have something offsite and then saying, hey, well, we gonna wait on y'all to see my video, and now you've been recruited like you in high school or something like that. It didn't make sense to me.
All right, Wes. What you hear, man?
I just think he's just controlling his narrative of how he is bringing it to them to light. He's basically like, hey, look, I'm here. I'm ready. Give me a shot. That's all I'm asking.
But controlling narrative as far as what? Someone mentioned that, they could have used the video footage against him if
But he didn't say nothing in the video.
I'm saying if they would have filmed him, if he would have agreed.
So because he brought his own receiver, right?
Yeah.
Which is, if you talk to anybody that knows football, that's
They
something.
give you a receiver.
They could give you a receiver, but any good quarterback has a receiver that they want to throw through because it's all about timing. So they know his speed levels. They know how far to throw the ball with the velocities. Right. So you want to look good. You ain't going out there. It's like you're going to go out there to look bad. Are you just going to let anybody throw the ball to anybody and they can't catch it? Then it's going to look bad for him. So these are the smart moves. I get that. But it just could have been done on a different platform.
I want yours to go last, Caldwell, because yours is to me is probably more important
Go
than
ahead.
all the stuff that we've said. I just think that he doesn't really want to play. I think it's a political stance. I think he's been out traveling, speaking on his cause, and working for foundations. He's probably getting paid. Why would you want to come back and put some pads on when you on your own time?
Because you got to understand too, this man grew up playing football.
Football.
He loved the game.
But see, football is one of those sports when you grow up as a kid playing football and you've been hurt and injured. It's something
but it's a different thing when you're hurt and injured between. I haven't been injured and I just been out of the league because
I'm just saying,
they don't like my views.
What I'm getting at is football as a sport is a contact sport. So that ain't something everybody want to do. Like everybody don't want to be a boxer. You know what I'm saying? You ain't trying to get hit, So I think it's a sentiment of him still having the love of the game as being a kid. But
the biggest thing, military athletic, is the identity crisis. And that's more important than the love of the game. It's that identity crisis. So I think he's...
I mean, but...
It's a show. I think it's a show.
At the same time, I just feel like he just want to go play back. You may be right. It may be a show, but me personally, any player that play any type of sport, I know that he has love for that game and he wants to play that game.
What we got? 8 games for the season? 6 games for the season?
Even if he could play 2, I know he would be happy.
So here's a piece, Caldwell. Please share your insight that I don't think nobody has addressed at all.
Well, I'm not coming in on the part that you guys are
right,
talking
exactly.
about now. Where I was from the very beginning with this guy, I see him pretty much parallel to Barack Obama. Black and white parents, raised by white parents in a white community, and with physical prowess, success in high school, college, made a lot of money in the 49ers, and in the mid-20s, woke up one day and said, who am I? And decided to explore his blackness, which he had zero experience with. And nobody heard him.
Nope. They heard him.
I mean, that whole thing of picking black kids who were getting shot was his effort to, you notice, when he was growing up and when he was playing with the 49ers, hair cropped short, ambiguous race. You didn't know what this guy's race. He looks Arabic with his features. He decided to explore his blackness, and he didn't know how to do it. Nobody gave him any guidance, and so he picked kids who were getting shot, and nobody heard him. Now, to give the parallel to Barack was a little bit more educated and a sharper kid. Okay, right. Left the islands, came to stateside to discover what it's like to be a black man, because he couldn't find that in Hawaii. Enrolled in Occidental College. That was the wrong place. He couldn't find blackness at Occidental College. So he went to Columbia, New York. And while he was in Columbia, New York, there was a guy named Washington. He's now dead. Got elected mayor of Chicago after 2 centuries of white folks running and the Irish mob running Chicago. Had a black mayor. To shorten the story, Barack went to Chicago because he perceived that to be the center of black culture, that he could learn from black guys what it's like to be a black man. Met Michelle, who is unambiguously black. Nobody would question.
Without a doubt.
Found it. And the rest is history. This kid didn't have that
identity,
that identity, nor the guidance, nor the fortuitous opportunity to do that. And they're making, and I can share this piece and I'll shut up. 4 veterans who are working out in a gym in West Hollywood, a gym owned by a guy whose father owns Manchester United soccer team. So that's how this guy got in. He has a 15-minute show on NFL TV because his dad's connections, okay? Nate Boyer, an Army Ranger hero, was picked up off the street by this guy at the gym and took him in his home, and we will capitalize on your heroism. So Nate Boyer wants to be a heroic soldier until he dies because he's getting paid for that. Some of my veterans came to the gym because this guy wants to promote, I'm doing well for veterans, like giving them the
wellness,
yeah. In the gym one day, Nate Boyer said to the 4 veterans who were in my group, my boss just talked to the 49ers and we can talk to Kaepernick, who's trying to figure out how to handle this protest without offending anybody. So the discussion ensued, and with the 4 guys who were from my group, all Marine combatants, one of them said, Caldwell shooting people gave me a release. That's the kind of background he came from. It was, okay. So these guys said, when we lose a buddy, we put his boots on the ground, stick his bayonet in the boot, and take a knee to honor him. And it was on that recommendation from Marine veterans that Nate Boyer flew to San Francisco and said to Cap, military boys say taking a knee is a sign of respect. And the world and the president took that and twisted it on its heel and made it mean the opposite. The kid, Colin Kaepernick, was trying to do
what he said.
What it was meant.
What was respectful.
Right.
And
The rest of the world wasn't even knowledgeable of that type of history,
Precisely.
unless you were in the military.
And
with
then
that
behind that, the kid's trying to figure out who he is. He grew his hair out into a natural, and he's trying to be black without a black person giving him some guidance on how to do it. You guys could.
Yeah, you gotta eat some chicken.
People in this room could have given him some guidance. So what I'm saying, it was the equivalent of Barack going to Occidental College to figure out how to be black. It was the wrong place.
This is true.
It's way more complex than we.
It's deeper than a lot of people know.
And as I say, from being a fan, the fans drive these conversations just as much of what they want.
Could I ask this question? Because somebody mentioned her name, but I haven't seen her. He has a wife, right? A girlfriend?
Yeah.
Okay. What is her race?
I'm not too sure.
Well, he a football player. You know how OJ did it. You know what I'm saying? So
there you go.
No, the reason I asked that question is
need some humor on this
if
show.
she's not a black girl, she's not able to give him what he's searching for either.
He won't be able to relate to her, even if she isn't black.
Well, but I'm only saying the guy is looking for something, and nobody who has the ability to give him the guidance is stepping forward and saying, "Hey, man, this is." I get.
You know what? But you know what? At the same token, when you look at the Antonio Browns of the world, and you look at just all the mockery,
he's another story by itself.
It's like
though.
I actually really looking at that interview. He shouldn't even be speaking. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You should have some professional people with a suit on talking to the NFL saying, and then letting your video content say itself.
And that's really the only way you're going to get your character back. You got to have somebody else.
But see, a lot of guys, they don't know how to voice it when it comes to
because
bringing it to the media.
Talking to them like he mad.
Right.
You need somebody with a little empathy. Nice suit on with a smile. Cap has had a great workout. Hey, we looking forward to, da 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 da. And but
this is the reason why I say I love LeBron James outside of basketball, because he makes sure his team and everybody else knows what they're talking about before they bring it to the media.
Yeah. But didn't he just have some recent controversy about something of that nature?
Oh, we found out his wife is mixed, so no support there.
Yeah. Well, they of the same. They of the same. They of the same.
So we need to take a 20-second timeout because
they have the same.
I think Caldwell's point for me is probably more.
That makes sense. That's deep. It's deeper than what
because of how he got the insight to even take the knee, which for us is a respect. It is not a disrespect or no flag, and I don't think any of the veterans was disrespected for that gesture.
But
it's what the media and the president, whoever took it and flipped it to him being disrespectful.
But the comparison. That's amazing. So you got Cap to Obama, same ideal scenarios. I mean, only Caldwell can do that.
Yeah, only Caldwell.
Different solutions.
Yeah.
All right, so 20-second timeout. Fredo, can you give us a 20-second timeout, man? We're going to come back with Chasing the Hoop Dreams with my man Wes, who's just about to take off. So don't go nowhere. Shout us out. What's the count?
Playing tonight?
Yeah.
AskElia.com. Media marketing experts here to help you grow your business into the next level and boost your sales. Visit us to learn more. AskElia.com.
Keeping Our Lungs Safe has been part of the local initiatives that's been going on to educate our decision makers about, the impact of flavored tobacco, specifically menthol, in the African American community. Right. And so we actually were at the LA County Board of Supervisors office a few weeks ago where they were having a meeting to discuss an ordinance that would ban all flavored tobacco products and vaping products, including menthol, in certain areas of Los Angeles. And they actually ended up passing that ban.
So we finally got a tax passed, which was Proposition 56, and that was a couple of years ago. That put a $2 tax on cigarettes and vaping.
That's why they're so expensive.
Yes.
Thank God.
So you thought that
slave trade. So when we see Harriet Tubman, we need to look at it from that lens, and that ever since then, this plant has been killing us in one way or another.
Right.
Hi, my name is Marlene, and I'm 71 years old. I know I don't look it, and that's because I go to Regina at WJ Wellness. And what I really love about her is the way she takes care of my skin. Regina has a variety of facials, and I think I have tried every last one.
My name is Regina Jackson. I've been a licensed esthetician for over 25 years. I'm located at WJ Med Spa in Culver City, California.
And I must say, Regina is the best esthetician in town.
Also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at WJ Med Spa. Please come in and visit us and come in for a complimentary consultation. Again, your skin is your beauty. Hope to see you soon.
Last time that I checked, it was 5 chains on my neck. It was no smut on my rep.
Yeah, so my name is Ken Q. I'm born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I'm an empowerment speaker. I'm a youth advocate, and I'm a host. I do a multitude of different things. Event producer, spoken word artist. Got to plug that as well. So
so it's good to have these organizations that are creating events that are organically to be able to get people to socialize, to communicate, to talk. Where do you get all that mental toughness?
For me, it's been learned throughout trial and error, to be honest. About 2.5, maybe 3 years ago, I made a decision, and I said I don't want to do anything that's not in alignment with my purpose. In order to reach purpose, you have to go through trial. So for me, I just learned to embrace the trial, and for me, my trial, my rock bottom was homelessness. So that gave me a whole nother level of mental toughness.
Legendary self-made progress. Last time that I checked.
Now you got to go to San Francisco.
Oh no! Welcome back.
It ain't even the same tent.
To Sports Collective TV. I'm your host and moderator, Front, aka WDC. Again, thanks for listening in. You want to talk about tomorrow real quick? What's happening?
Should I be the one to talk about
Yes,
that?
you should.
I should be the one to talk about
Of course
that?
you should.
All right, so, Caldwell, this is going to be a moment for me. Because I kind of feel at a point of accomplished. We started Ask Ilya as a media agency, and now we have the opportunity to work with AEG. And they have the movie The Harriet, where we actually bought out a theater, sold out at about 205 seats. We've had some relationships that kind of embezzled, with one being WJ Med Spa here that's actually bought about 25, 30 seats for people to come out to this, as well as Black College Expo. Over 100 underserved kids will be at the actual theater.
That is
and then we have Ferran, our very own Ferran, who has sickle cell research, who actually became one of our sponsors to kind of help out the panelists. So we have panelists is kind of a mixed bag of just clinicians, doctors, DJs, media folks. And also we also have the Miracle Theater that's got events and stuff that's coming up all the time. They actually wanted to be one of the sponsors to kind of sponsor some of the popcorn and soda for some of the kids that's going to be at the theater. So it's the Harriet November
tomorrow
19th, which is tomorrow. We sold out a theater to be able to give back to the community.
The Regal, downtown LA.
Yeah.
Right next to
the
Staples Center.
Yeah.
So we down there tomorrow. 5:30?
5:30 to 7:15. And then we have a panel discussion at the end, so we can kind of talk about an array of topics based on the movie or based on the lives we live today. And I'm just looking for the panel just to come out and be very, 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 very out of the box. Very, very out of the box.
Yeah.
Because we in a time now, it's no reason we need to, sung and dance around anything as black people no more.
Oh, so, no. And that's what me and Carl were going to touch on our segment in a few minutes, because it's time that we take a stand for our own, like Carl was saying in the truck today, right now. Where we at right now with life. Right? Acknowledge the past, right? But where we at today? And you got to say so today.
I want to ask y'all a quick question since we're talking about Harriet Tubman, and you probably have a lot more history than I do. My grandmother, I was explaining this to someone today. Harriet Tubman was back then. My grandmother died at 87 as an American slave, picking cotton, Louisiana, transitioned to California with 13 kids. In 81, started feeding the homeless for 37 years and left with a bank account, right? So who is the Harriet Tubman of today?
That's a good question.
There ain't one.
There is.
There ain't one.
So you got to remember,
everybody's for themselves right now.
This is a generation that at some point there has to be a Harriet Tubman in this pool of people.
There's no unification.
What I would say to listen to your grandmother's story is that she is an example of Harriet Tubman multiplied, because there are a lot of your grandmothers.
For sure.
And there was one. See, Harriet was, and there were probably others like Harriet doing their thing. But the Harriet story got told. That's how we know about her. But this is a big country, and there was a lot going on. I shared today in the automobile with Fran. We, in my family, all four of my grandparents were born slaves. My parents, I was born to middle-aged parents. Both my parents were first generation free. I'm number 10 of 11 kids. Every kid got sent to college by two parents who never had any education, taught themselves everything, but they sent their kids to college. And number 10 actually did the work and got through it. The others all had reasons and excuses for not doing it.
Right. But they have the path.
I think, and I'll stop with this, I think as I look back on it, and I'm 85 now, and so there are three of us left. Insecurity, feelings of inferiority, all the stuff that you have to fight through in order to do it. My siblings were not able to fight through it, because they looked at me, oh, well, you're the smart one. That's their excuse. You were the smart one. Heck, I thought I was the stupid one. Family dinners, because my parents' house was kind of the fulcrum, and everybody would come at Thanksgiving and Christmas, and you know how that is, telling jokes and all the other stuff. Carl, what are you doing now? Older brother. Carl was in school. You know he's too damn lazy to work. They're painful. Their perception of me was I was going to school because I was lazy. They had no idea how hard I worked to get through.
And my dad's 83, so I don't know what your dad's scenario was in regards to like that transition to life. So my dad was like, you be with this one job, you stay there for 50 years. It's like, no, that's not how it works anymore. No. Actually, you go progress, So he never, even though I worked for a lot of major companies, he just never could understand that. So he was always, I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do.
My grandfather told my dad, I'm going to teach you how to be independent and not depend on a white man. And that gave my dad a complex who he looked in his life to prove what my grandfather told him. And every time some white man did something to him, he found evidence. And he hated white people. He thought. But when we dealt with that, he realized that, well, my dad taught me that. That wasn't his own influence. He was influenced by my grandfather. And became friends with all kind of white people afterwards.
And it comes to a sense of we don't experience things on our own, too. So sometimes our parents might tell us, or this is not what you're supposed to be doing and stuff like that. But sometimes we do venture off and try to, want to see things for ourselves instead of someone else just telling us what it is.
Right.
I mean, nowadays it's just, people, everybody, like you said, everyone's for themselves. So it's not a lot of unification out here where you can get information from certain people and be like, oh, okay, you just provided me with something that was very knowledgeable.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, you look at the fact that our whole society now is all on resources and awareness. I mean, think of that. Really think of that. Versus the times in the 60s and the 50s and the 70s where you went out and you learned how to paint. You learned how to plumb. You learned something. If you wasn't in the military, you learned a trade, something to do.
That's taking the initiative.
Yeah.
But a lot of dudes nowadays, especially black males, they don't take the initiative to even want to go. I can like I was just talking to one of my friends the other day. I can count on my hand right now five dudes that I know that don't. I mean, how many dudes I know that pick up a book every day and read?
Unfortunately, I think that it depends on your grandparents and your grandparents' parents on the influence of what they anchored their conversation from. And if it anchored from what the slave did to their family, right, then you've anchored that. And the generation now who ain't even lived in that is carrying that story from their family, angry and upset, not working out their own way in life. Because you're supposed to figure out your own way.
I think we're in a transition phase.
Thank you. I like transition.
From what our parents, I mentioned my parents are first generation free, and they used the Bible as their guide. Literally, they were literalists. Check out
by the book.
By the book.
This is what he said. By the book.
Yes. And mom's job was to pass that on to the kids, and dad was out feeding the family and taking care of business. We went from that into the 60s, and I was around in the 60s as an emerging guy who graduated from UCLA with a degree into business administration and told by the corporate community, no Jews, no Negroes, no...
So by the decade...
Well, I'm just saying, came out, and I didn't know who I was. I just wanted to get out of the ghetto.
Right.
And that set me on a journey to find myself. And that's the new emerging awareness. We're looking for, who am I? That's the transition from doing what you're told to finding out who you are.
But when does the bleeding stop? When are we always trying to figure out who we are? When we trying to get African identity, we trying to get all these different identities. When do we just become human beings and then we just become super forward focused and start becoming more resolution?
I do not disagree with you. We have a different meaning for identity. I wasn't talking about this group thing, African. I'm talking about Caldwell. I'm talking about Ilya.
Finding your own purpose.
Your own purpose and identity.
But But that's great, and that maybe that's like peeling back an onion a little bit.
That's the root.
I get that. I understand that. But I'm just saying, when we're talking to people out here in the world there is no root for them. So you got to.
So if someone come to you out of the
world, they're not going to identify with
root.
themselves because we don't. If you don't, how are you going to identify yourself when you don't have a true identity? You're going to identify what people's perception is.
But that's why you have to have the conversation.
Right. I get that, but I'm only saying that most people is being dealt with based on perception.
Yes,
that's why social media is so fantastic because it's all perceptional. It's not. There's no reality to it.
Right.
That's unless people really know you, who you are. If they don't really know who you are, then it's just a...
You want to give a solution to that?
It's a perception of, this is what I think of you.
Watch what's missing.
The
I got confidence in him.
He just set me up.
I got confidence in him.
Hey, I'm gonna bring it. You know what I'm saying? I play tennis. I got confidence in him. Give you a backhand.
Hold on. Let's go.
Here's how I'll attack it. This is what happened in my head. I found a niche that allowed me to crack the corporate community that 40 years earlier had said, no Negroes in here. Okay?
Right.
I found something that they needed. And I'll tell you about that in a second. And then I provided what was needed. My gosh, it fixed my bottom line. They got on the phone and called their colleagues. This guy's got something. And
Very
so
important for
every one of my clients were client referred. I wish I had known an Ilya. I mean, I didn't know anything about promotion or marketing. And instead of building marketing for what I was doing, I just relied on these guys. And then when the aerospace industry died in Southern California, so did my business, because those are where my clients were. Right. I was kicking butt and roaring through that industry. Now at 85, dead. Dementia. The people who knew me. Right. There's one remaining, Gary Osborne. You can call him, and he's now for his condo down at Encinitas. Sold that 40 acres in North Carolina in the Victorian house. He's in there. That's where he's retired. But I have his phone number. You can call Gary Osborne, who was chief operating officer of Hughes Space and Communication Group, and he swears by his buddy Caldwell, who changed his life. This guy was a product line manager when I trained him, and he used the curriculum that I still use. Ended up running the whole freaking thing, the facility, and acknowledges me for it. And that this is not a time to get into all that, but I'm saying we are in transition, and this guy talks a lot about his landmark education program. That's one example, and there are hundreds of them around the country, efforts trying to nurture this expansion of awareness
that
we're looking for.
You said something earlier, right? You said that your parents lived on the principles of the Bible, right? Which is the moral compass, which is the same thing with landmark and all that. Mm-hmm. But then there's this open hole. So if we got back to that, that's a solution. We got back to the moral compass. We got back to, such an onion, man.
Agreed. But people got their perception of what the Bible says, so now you talk about religious conversation that gets everything twisted up.
True. Now you're getting hung up in belief.
Yeah.
And 1, 2, 3, 4 different beliefs, and you really shoot each other.
That's fine. But my point is that we all know that the Bible, there's so many Bibles, but whatever Bible it may be, it's been a pillar in any culture or community. Right? And how is it is there, but we so far away as a society?
Because of the beliefs.
I would suggest it's useful to translate first century language into 21st century language so that people on the street aren't put off by you. Mm. You start talking to somebody on the street about Bible, religion, and what
Acts 5 and 7 say.
What they plug into is what their experience was as a child.
Right.
And very often, their experience was abuse. I'm going to beat the blick out of you if you don't do what I tell you, and God's going to burn you in hell for the rest of your,
Well, you guys, I think we're all on the same page. I'm just trying to figure out how we, as a group, as a vessel, having this platform, having my boy Wes here, chasing hoop dreams. So, you know what I'm saying, and coming up with solutions.
Yeah. In the midst of transition, Wes, introduce yourself.
How you say it right here with each other is just we have to all come together and be able to be open minded and be able to put that out there.
But is that an old song? Is it an old song? We all gonna come together.
That old song, we got to keep singing that song to people hear.
How long we gonna sing and tap dance? When we just gonna be?
What he talks
put it
about
on the calendar.
is foundation skills.
Exactly.
And
I would like this.
Don't.
I would like you guys to do a program or several programs on solutions.
Solutions.
Yeah,
I'm all about solutions. Really.
Yeah.
I'm all
I
about
mean, we all know
yeah.
about the problem.
No, I'm agreeing with you that we need solutions, but we need some time to
we need
dig into that.
solutions, and we need to figure it out quick.
We need to take a quick second break, Fredo. All right, so let's take a break. Bring Wes. Nobody move.
What you working with?
Be right back. Shout us out. What's the count? Chasing Hoop Dreams.
AskIlya.com. Media marketing experts here to help you grow your business into the next level and boost your sales. Visit us to learn more. AskIlya.com.
Keeping Our Lungs Safe has been part of the local initiatives that have been going on to educate our decision makers about, the impact of flavored tobacco, specifically menthol, in the African American community.
Right.
And so we actually were at the LA County Board of Supervisors office a few weeks ago where they were having a meeting to discuss an ordinance that would ban all flavored tobacco products and vaping products, including menthol, in certain areas of Los Angeles. And they actually ended up passing that ban.
So we finally got a tax passed, which was Proposition 56, and that was a couple of years ago. That put a $2 tax on cigarettes and vaping.
That's why they're so expensive.
Yes.
Thank
you
God.
can pat me on the back.
So you thought that
slave trade. So when we see Harriet Tubman, we need to look at it from that lens, and that ever since then, this plant has been killing us in one way or another.
Right.
The Consortium of Health and Military Performance, also known as CHAMP, of the Uniformed Services University of Health and Science, known as USUHS, is conducting a study to understand a possible genetic link between sickle cell trait, known as SCT, and exercise-related events, known as EREs, such as exertional rhabdomyolysis, muscle damage, heat stroke, and or collapse. We are inviting African American men and women with sickle cell trait and their family members to participate. Participating in the study will require you to complete a health history questionnaire, a form authorizing our study physician to gather health information from you and your healthcare provider, as well as a one-time blood donation. In order to qualify for the study, you must meet the following criteria: be African American, be sickle cell trait positive, be able to read, speak, and understand English, be between the ages of 18 and 80, and currently not being treated for any mental or psychological disorders. Participation is completely voluntary, and your decision will not impact your healthcare. The results for this study are for research purposes only and are not intended to directly benefit any individual for confidentiality reasons. However, the results of this study are intended to help better shape policies and associated health risks affecting the SCT community. Participants may be compensated for their time. To join the study, or if you would like additional information regarding the study, please contact the study team by phone, area code 240-479-9514, or email sctstudy-ggg@usuhs.edu.
All right, welcome to Sports Selective TV, host and moderator Fawn, aka WDC. If you need information about sickle cell trait, please go to WDCONSCT.org. There are risk factors, there are complications to some of us with sickle cell trait. So if that sparks your interest,
I would like to say something with that.
Yes.
Today I read a article about that where a guy they found a new therapy where he is sickle cell free now.
Yes.
So I mean I didn't really get to read it all because I was rushing getting off work and stuff like that. But
so it was
a new therapy where
they have found some new gene therapies where they're actually correcting the DNA, and so by correcting the DNA, the red cells produce normal hemoglobin. So they don't have crisis anymore. Well, there still depends on how much damage is done to your organs and your body, but they don't have sickle cell anymore. They still carry the trait, but they're able to take that,
switch the DNA,
turn that gene.
What age is the detection? Is it as early as birth?
Newborn screening, newborn screening started in California in 1990. Across the country, you have to check with your state because different states started at different times. We know that Arizona, unless they suspect it, they only test. So some states still don't really do it unless they suspect it. But California has been doing newborn screening since 1990. So
that's good.
As far as the gene therapy, it's expensive. That's a whole nother conversation. It's not universal. That's the thing. It does work for those who will be able to afford it, or if insurance pays for it, but it's not a universal cure, which is a different conversation. So,
chasing, man.
Introduce, man. Let's get right into it.
That's Boomerang.
Oh, man. Wes Harris, you know,
You ain't brand new here. Let's cut to the chase. Yeah. Give us some.
Right,
give us
so
some.
Look, he's a personality.
give us the lead into this program.
Well, honestly, nobody like I've been telling you on the last two shows. Yeah. Nobody helped me get anything to where I wanted to get. I've always did my research and always reached out to people to try to get to where I want to be at. And then just particular, I asked one of my friends, because I guess he was trying out for the team or whatever, and he just said, "Wes, just hit them up, bro. See what they say." So I just took a chance. I was like, "Let me go ahead and hit this team up, man." I hit the team up. They ended up hitting me back. Came to a workout. Boom.
Done deal.
There. So what team is this?
It's a
secret?
It's
a secret?
No, it's a secret. No secret.
We want to be the first to
know. No secret. It's a brand new team in the ABA Pro League.
Okay. Congratulations. We got some can clap stuff back there.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You know what? And this is why I'm going to say what I say.
What you say?
Basketball, black owned, black play, black coach.
Black play, right. Black coach.
It's the job security for brothers like
Can you?
Go ahead.
Gee whiz. Last time you made that statement, we almost got banned.
So I reached out to the club. They reached out back to me, and it was all golden from there. You know, so they loved the way I play. I showed them my film. They see me play before. A couple of guys that's owning the team right now. So they see me play before in Mexico about 3 years ago when I was playing out in Ensenada.
So they're gonna allow you to put my nickname on the back of your jersey?
I hope so. I hope so.
Remember the name, right? It's Float. Float. He just be gone.
That'll be the best name ever. That'll be the best name ever on the back.
So what does this opportunity do for you, man?
Oh man, this opportunity is gonna give me a lot. It's gonna give me a lot of exposure, the exposure that I really need, and I'm gonna be in front of like real scouts, real people that play ball overseas, basically in the higher leagues, that you can get paid a little bit more money than what you're getting paid right now.
Do you remember when Gerald came, the Navy guy who was owning one of the LA ABA teams, but he's not doing it anymore. But we had a guy that was.
And I found out too. I found out it's not that much to put an ABA team in there.
Really?
No, $2,000 to put an ABA team in there.
Cali?
Don? Pac Ram, we can blend them all in. Go get
your own ABA team and put it in there. So they're a brand new team that they just started this year. Brand new team. They're getting everything together right now as we speak. So
what's
that way they can be able to build
like? Is it
2020 when 2020 come?
Yeah,
it won't be no hiccups or anything right there. We can just go right through the season.
Go right starting the season.
What's the season like? How many games?
More than 20.
Okay.
More than 20 games.
That's good.
Plus the playoffs. So I'd say about 3 or 4 months.
So how you feel, man?
Oh, I feel lovely. I feel great.
Yeah?
I feel great. It was a great opportunity. When they told me it, man, I couldn't believe it. It's just, I woke up to it and it was just like, I was ecstatic.
What does this do for that young guy that was chasing hoop dreams? What mark of this dream is this accomplishment?
I just think my story and my testament helps a lot of guys, because a lot of people have been seeing me over the years chase what I've been chasing, you know what I'm saying? And just them seeing me, that gives them motivation. Like, man, I'm going to keep going. I got guys on the daily hit me every day and just be like, Wes, can you help me? Can you help me do this? Can you help me do that, man?
But Wes, you know it's more than just seeing you.
Right.
Because, as you know, basketball, you've catapulted something else other than within the sport that people that are small don't have the same confidence level, right? Because we know basketball is about height. So the bigger the dude is, the more visibility.
Like Nate Robinson
you beat all these odds. I mean, I'm saying, far as playing the game, playing it great, going to the next level, and not having to be 6'9", 7 feet.
I mean, it's more of I probably hit the height limit with, because it's not that many guys that I have my height, but my body structure too at the same time,
Pitbull.
And then you got guys that's short that don't really have the IQ level to be able to sustain it. So it's like
So
you
that's
got to
what I'm saying.
see it before it even comes. So now I see it. So now it makes the game easier for me.
Well, I saw you and I thought you were a linebacker. No, I'm serious. That's not like
and over the years, I've always got that. People
Yeah.
always thought that I played football before I played basketball.
Right.
But like I told you, my first sport was soccer. I never really played anything else besides that because I still love to just run.
Soccer.
So tonight you got a championship game.
Championship
P4E.
game tonight.
What's the count
against against Undisputed. So I mean, we're just gonna go out there and go play our game, man. We not worrying about nothing else.
This in Downey?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We're not worried about nothing else. We're just gonna go out there, go play our game,
Float,
and
man.
let the results at the end.
Boy, don't even touch the ground. Boy, that's flow.
So do you plan on this pro team? Do you get your regular day to day, and then you go and travel, or how is that?
I mean, I keep my same
What can you
regimen.
say?
Get up every morning. I get up every morning at 5 anyway to go run. Before I start my day off. So I've been doing that since high school. So get up at 5, run, get my legs going for the day, and after that, when I have people that's on my schedule to go train and stuff like that, I do that and keep it going.
Somebody's in the Inland Empire where I'm at is creating an ABA team for the IE too. I've seen on IG.
Yeah, it's way more teams than it has been over the past 3 years.
Yeah.
Way more teams. I did a lot of research too on that. So
I mean, can you contest though that the whole basketball piece has grown so phenomenal? I mean, from the AAU to the ABA to the Drew Leagues to the it's just grown.
Women's
because I've seen so
grown.
many guys that played in the ABA that they get contracts in the CEPA Copa League and the LMP BP league out in Mexico. So it's opportunities. It's just how much you want it, And a lot of guys, they give up on the opportunity because they feel like they're not getting paid a certain amount of money, or they're not getting the recognition that they have. But it's not about what somebody can give you; it's about what you can give and what they see.
So, what do you want to tell the generation behind you?
Keep striving for greatness. Keep striving for what you want to do. Don't let nobody tell you that. Exactly.
No, hell no.
Don't let nobody else stop you from what you want to do in life.
Lord bless him.
Just keep going. Fredo, you the man.
The only thing
Shout
y'all
out
like,
to Fredo.
the only thing y'all like about LeBron James is his discipline. That's all y'all like.
But you need that nowadays. If you don't know how to discipline yourself, you will not be able to
y'all
succeed
fan of
in
his
anything.
discipline. That's it.
You have to have discipline for yourself. Have to.
That's it.
You have to. If you don't have discipline for yourself, so you're gonna listen to somebody else? It's not gonna happen.
What kind of person has to pull that discipline out of themselves instead of doing only the 25 and not doing the 5? What kind of person has to push? Who do you have to be? Like, what kind of person are you?
I mean, you gotta dig deep. You gotta dig deep to even want
driven.
That, you have to. Well, you have to be driven anyway, just to be motivated to even get there.
Yeah.
The first part about taking that step is showing up.
Yeah, I mean, because I remember when I was going through a bad transition in life, and first thing I went to is working out. And the guy was in the gym. He said, it's way beyond working out.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand what he meant until I went home one day. I started seeing results. But my attitude, my mentality, everything just was changing. Mm-hmm. It's a life-changing situation. Your diet is changing. It's so many changes, but
it changes when you get older. As I look like LeBron. I looked at LeBron and how he came into the league until right now. His body has changed due to the fact that times change. Mm-hmm. So now you can't be accustomed for what you was eating back in 2005, 2006 to 2019. You know what I'm saying? It's a different mindset.
Also
now.
plays the fact that in the last 5 years he had to bring in a post game where he didn't have that early on in his career.
Which is true. And then he had to have any rest. He's like the only player to be able to go every year without sitting down a summer. Mm-hmm. This past summer was the first time he sat down since he got into the league.
So
and that was years.
So that's your boy.
Call whatever, man. Whatever.
Shout out to Fredo.
Caldwell, in like 2 minutes, man, we want to touch just a little bit of objectification and what that looks like. Can you share like real life what that looks like for people?
He's good at hitting me with these things. Okay.
Well, you're kind of a bright young man.
I had a young man. You're nice. You're kind. You're kind. In that family that I told you about, my oldest sister's only child, Don Buford, SC football, SC baseball, Chicago White Sox, Major League Baseball, and then Orioles, Baltimore Orioles, won a World Series, went to 2 World Series. Anyway, a career in professional sports.
Right.
Don grew up as my kid brother. When he was 3 months old, his mom, my older sister, who was 21 years older than me, brought him to my parents. They had warned her that the guy who had impregnated her was not a good dude. And she defied my parents and said, I'm going to marry him. Okay, your life. She married him. And by the time her child was 3 months old, she came to my parents and said, you're right. Here's my child. She's gone out of his life for 19 years. So Don grew up as my kid brother. Okay. My mother breastfed him because she had during menopause had a child who was only 3 months older than him. So this kid grew up as my kid brother. I mentioned earlier the education situation in my family. I was the one who did the school. Don followed Uncle Caldwell. He didn't call me uncle because we're 3 years apart in age.
Right.
I wrote Rod Dato, the coach of SC's baseball team, a letter. Signed it as Don's uncle. And of course, you knew talent in Southern California if you're coaches. But in those days, there was a real color thing going on. SC had never had a black baseball player on its team. So I asked Rod Dato for a meeting. And Don and I, and to the day he died, Rod Dato told this story. I expected this uncle and his nephew to come in, and these 2 kids came walking in my office. Uncle Caldwell was just 3 years old. And Dato said, Don, I'll play the 9 best ball players. Don said, if you really mean that, I'll come. He said, I really mean that. That's how Don enrolled at SC. No scholarship, just a promise that if you make the team, you get everything. If you don't make the team, there's nothing I can do. Don is now in SC's Heritage Hall of Fame because he did football and baseball at SC. Okay. But he's an athlete. I did the academic thing. He did the sports thing. And Don and I cannot have the kind of conversation I'm having with you now. He's the athlete whose identity is as an athlete, whose life has been spent as an athlete, who's now 82 years old, and he and his wife will show up at every SC
game and stuff.
Yeah, like and the athlete control life through dominance and intimidation. That's how you.
That makes sense.
Well, I'm saying that's the ethic of athletes. Right. Right. That's the ethics of the military. And if you don't expand by having dialogue with people to get other perspectives on it, you carry that to everything you do in your life. Your relationship with your female.
Your workout.
Dominance and
that makes sense, yeah.
Dominance and intimidation. And with all the things that are going on, the transition in the culture, people are saying, and girls are saying, I want to be your partner.
This is true. This is true.
And so, I'm just sharing that the personal example in my own family of a boy who still carries that and can't have a conversation with Uncle Cole because Cole is kind of weird. You know, he's
it's real life, man.
Yes.
Real life in sports,
and
which is true.
Yeah.
All right, so we're out of here. Make sure you catch us next Monday for the last show of the month. Caldwell will be back. We're gonna wrap it up with some solutions to this objectification. Shout out to Ilya. West Dog. You out of here, man. Appreciate you, man. Caldwell, thank you. Shout us out with the account. Sports Selective, Instagram.
Coming live from the Bay, yeah, that way. They talk sports all day, LA. Dropping knowledge, high school, college, trying to score, play by play. NFL, NBA, NHL, that's right, you name it. They gon' bring it to you live. Talking sports and entertainment from the famous and the, you name it.